Hello, today I'm going to be teaching you the metric system, but before I start teaching it to you, I meant to tell you yesterday it was National Sloppy Joe Day, and today it's actually the first day of spring, but it's also National Poultry Day, and poultry is like chicken. So, usually the first day of spring is the 20th or the 21st, but I think because of leap year, it's the 19th this year. So, we're doing the metric system. Remember, the metric system is what pretty much the rest of the world uses besides America. And after you see the metric system, you're going to ask yourself why we don't use it. It is way easier. Because think about this. For us, we have capacity, which means we have to memorize gallon, quart, pint, cups, ounces. For distance, we need to memorize inches, feet, yards, miles. And then for weight, we need to memorize ounces, pounds, and tons. The metric system, they memorize one thing, and it works for length, it works for capacity, and it works for weight. So here we go. You need to know about King Henry to be able to do your math for metric system. If you don't know who King Henry is, King Henry VIII was the King of England. He's famous for having a lot of wives that he had beheaded. That means he cut off his heads. And a lot of the wives he had their heads cut off because he wanted a boy child and they kept having girls. He wanted a boy child because to help his legacy continue to be the heir of his throne, you can't give it to a girl. So the boy has to be the one that keeps being king, so to stay in the family. So when the women would have girls, he would be upset. I believe he had 6 wives. I should have looked that up. I'm going to pause the video and look that up right now. Okay, so I took a quick pause and read some things, and he did marry 6 times, and 2 of the wives were beheaded, and that was because they were said to be unfaithful to the king, and because he needed an heir that was an heir is a boy, an heiress would be a girl, so he wanted an heir, and they did not provide him that. His 2 other children you may have heard of would be Queen Elizabeth, the first Queen Elizabeth, not Queen Elizabeth now, and then you've probably heard of Bloody Mary. I know there's like a game with that, but Bloody Mary was also his daughter, or that Mary. Okay, so enough history lessons. Get to why we're talking about King Henry. So if you have a piece of paper, you're going to write this down because this is going to work for the next few days. I want you to write K-H-D, and then here you can put a B and a U, D-C-M. The saying you need to remember is King Henry died, this part we're going to do last, drinking chocolate, I'm just going to put chocolate here, milk. Now, this B can stand for by, and it can stand for unusually. I want you to remember both. All of this has to do with, if you remember, King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk, you can remember the units for, the words, the prefixes for measurement. So, K is going to stand for kilo. You've probably heard of a kilogram. H is going to stand for hecto. D is going to stand for deca. The B is I'm going to do that one last. This D is going to stand for deci, centi, and milli. The B is either going to stand for gram if it's weight, meter if it's distance, and liter if it's capacity. So that's what changes. The base is what's going to change. So, again, King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk, or King Henry died unusually drinking chocolate milk, or died unexpectedly drinking chocolate milk. Kilo, hecto, deca, deci, centi, milli. You all know those will end in I, meaning they're small. Gram is for weight, a kilogram, a centigram, a hectogram. A meter, you've probably heard of a centimeter, kilometer or kilometer. Kilometer is usually what they say. And a liter, a kiloliter, a milliliter. Milliliter, you've heard of that a lot, especially like for me, I take insulin, it's by milliliter. So this is going to help us. Now, the other thing you need to remember is every one of these jumps is by 10. So think about this. If I'm jumping from centimeters to millimeters, I am going to get 100 times smaller. So this is getting bigger this way. This way is getting smaller. So it'd be 10 times smaller. If I count this jump, 1, 2, 3, if I have a meter and I'm going to millimeter, that'd be 10, 100, 1,000. A millimeter is 1,000 times smaller than a meter, which makes sense if you know different languages that derive from Latin. Mil in French means 1,000. Okay. So, I have a picture that I'm going to show you. Now, I did not make this picture, but I think it's going to help you. So you can see we have King Henry here. You have the saying up here. You might want to take a picture of this on your phone or on something so that when you do your math, you can reference it. But you can see all of these jumps are going to be by 10. And remember, we learned that would be like by multiplying by a tenth or by dividing by 10. This way is getting bigger. And all of these are jumps of 10. So I can see a kilometer would be 1,000 times bigger than a meter. So largest to smallest, multiply. Horse to fly, multiply. Fly to horse, divide of course. So that saying still works. Okay, so now I'm going to read some questions, and we're going to try to figure them out. So I always write King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk. And I need to remember that here this would be grams, meters, or liters. So if it's saying 8 and 47 hundredths liters is how many deciliters, I have to think about this. I'm going from liters to deciliters, not deciliters. So I'm going one jump, and I'm going to, remember we said horse to fly, multiply. And one jump is 10. So I'm multiplying by 10, or I'm moving that decimal one place. So it'd be 84 and 7/10. Let's try another one. King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk. And I remembered the by is meters, liters, or grams. And if I was doing 4,250 centimeters, how many meters would that be? Well, I think I'm going from centimeters to meters. So one jump, two jumps. So that's really 10, that's really 100. So I'm going to go from fly to horse, divide of course, and I'm dividing by 100. So I'm taking my decimal and I'm moving it 1, 2 places. So I'm going to get 42 and 5/10. Give me 1 second. I'm going to check and make sure I'm telling you everything correctly. let's try the next one. Same thing. King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk. This is meters, liters, and grams. And if I have 6,000 milliliters, how many liters is that? So I'm jumping. 1 jump, 2 jumps, liters would be 10, 100, 1,000. So I'm dividing by 1,000 because I'm going this way. So I'm going to move my decimal 1, 2, 3 places. So it would be 6 liters. Now, if I had to compare 32 hectograms to 3.2 kilograms, I need to remember King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk. And I'm going from hecka to kilo. So that's 1 jump. And I know I'm going fly to horse, divide of course. Sorry, I'm trying to see which one's bigger. So if I was dividing to kilograms, I would take that decimal and move it there. So I could see those are technically equal. Let's try another one. Which is bigger, 6 kilometers or 660 meters? So let's change this to meters. So King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk. I'm going from kilometers to meters, because remember this is meters, liters, and grams. This M over here is for like milligrams, milliliters, millimeters. So I'm jumping 1, 2, 3. I'm multiplying because I'm going horse to fly. So 6, I'm going to add 3 zeros. That would make that 6,000, which would be bigger. Let's try another one. $525 milliliters to centiliters to 525 centiliters. So King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk. So I'm going from milliliters to deciliters. Or sorry, centiliters, my bad. To centiliters. So that's 1 jump. So I have to think which way I want to go. If I want to go from milliliters to centiliters, I'm going to go horse to fly, and I'm going to multiply by 10. So if I do that, that's going to give me 5,250. So if I do that, I think I messed up. Hold on 1 second. So I'm going from milliliters to centiliters. Oh, see, this is what I messed up. I added 0. I have to remember I'm dividing. So 525 milliliters, if I'm getting bigger, I'm going to divide. That would really be 52.5. So I know 525 is bigger. Something doesn't seem right. You need to check. Let's do one more conversion, and then we'll go to the questions. Let's do 200 centimeters is how many meters? So 200 centimeters is how many meters? So I remember King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk, and this by is meters, grams, or liters. So I'm going from centimeters to meters. 1 jump, 2 jumps. Each jump's worth 10, so that's 100. I'm going fly to horse, divide of course, and I'm dividing by 100. Or I'm getting rid of 2 zeros. Or I'm moving my decimal 2 places. So no matter what, I'm going to get 2. Now I'm going to take a picture of the word problems that we normally do. If you're in my class, this would be the voodoo part. So give me a second, I'll take a picture. Okay, so it says, Bria ordered 145 centimeters of fabric. Jalen ordered 1.5 meters of fabric. Who ordered more fabric? So I'm going to change the centimeters to meters. So 145 centimeters is how many meters? King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk. I have to think. I'm going, this by is meters, liters, or grams. It's the base. So I'm moving from centimeters to meters. 1 jump, 2 jumps. So I have to think, those worth 100. Fly to horse, divide, of course, I'm dividing by 100 or moving my decimal place 2 places. 1.45. So I have to think, that's 1.45 meters. She ordered 1.5 meters, so therefore Jaylene ordered more. Next question. Ed fills his sports bottle with 1.2 liters of water. After his bike ride, he drinks 200 milliliters of water. How much water is left? So I'm going to have to change this liters to milliliters. So 1.2 liters is how many milliliters? So King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk. This is going to be liters because it's liters, meters, and grams, and I'm going to milliliters. So it would be 1 jump, 2 jumps, 3 jumps. Each of those is 10, so that's 1,000. And I'm going from horse to fly, multiplying and multiplying by 1,000. So I'm taking that and I'm moving it 1 place, 2 places, 3 places. In these holes, I'm putting zeros. So 1,200. If I subtract the 200 he drank, that's going to leave me 1,000 milliliters. Or if you know how many liters that would be, well, 1,000 milliliters would literally be, I'm going to get rid of my 3 zeros, 1 liter. Now I'm going to go to those 6 questions that we normally do. Okay, so it says Quan bought 8.6 meters of fabric. How many centimeters did he buy? So 8.6 meters is how many centimeters? King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk. The base is either meters, liters, or grams. So in this case it's meters, so I'm jumping 1, 2 jumps. Each of those is 10. So 10, 100. So that means I'm moving my decimal place 2 places. So 860 centimeters. Jason takes 2 centiliters of medicine. How many milliliters? So 2 centiliters is how many millimeters? So King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk. Remember, this would just be meters. This would be millimeters. So I'm going from milliliters. So that would be 1 jump, which is worth 10, and I'm going to multiply it because I'm going horse to fly, multiply, so I'm multiplying by 10, or I'm taking that decimal and moving it 1 place. So I'm going to get 20 milliliters. Excuse me. The next question. Yolanda needs 5 pounds of ground beef to make lasagna for a family reunion. 1 package weighs 2.5 pounds, another weighs 2 3/5. How much ground beef will she have left over after making lasagna? So first I need to see how much she has, and then I need to subtract that from 5. So 2 3/5 plus 2.5. I'm going to worry about my fractions only right now. I need them to have common denominators because I know I'm sad because they're not common denominators. I know 2 and 5 have 10 in common. So I need to make 3/5 something tenths. I need to make 1/2 something tenths. Well, 5 times 2 is 10. 2 times 2 is 4. So therefore, I'm going to do this up here. I'm going to have 2 and 4 tenths. Then 2 times 5 is 10. 1 times 5 is 5. So it'll be 5 tenths. 2 and 5 tenths. So when I add that, I'm going to have 2. Well, technically, I'm going to have 4 plus 5 would be 9, so 9 tenths. And 2 plus 2 is 4. So 4 and 9 tenths is what I'm dealing with. But the question is from 5 pounds. So 5 pounds minus 4 and 9 tenths. So what I like to do is make it improper. 10 times 4 is 40 plus 9 is 49. So 49 tenths. What divided by 10 gives me 5? 50 divided by 10 is 5. So when I subtract, I'm going to get 1/10. I could have already seen that too, because most of you probably could see that if I added 1/10 to that, that would have given me 5. But no matter what, my answer is 1/10. A recipe calls for 2 3/4 quarts of vegetable broth. Another contains a half a quart of broth. How much more broth do you need to make the soup? So 2 3/4 minus 1/2. Well, let's make them improper. You multiply, then you add. 4 times 2 is 8, 9, 10, 11. So you have 11/4 minus 1/2. You already can't do that because you need common denominators. 4 and 2 have 4 in common. I only need to change this. So I'm going to make 1/2 is going to be how many fourths? Well, 1/2 is 2 times 2 is 4, 1 times 2 is 2. So I'm going to have 11/4 minus 2/4. And when I'm done, I'm going to get 9/4, which really would be 4 goes into 9 2 times with 1 left over. So 2 and 1/4. Oops, sorry about that. The next question, which point is located at 4, 2? Remember, you go over and up. Over 4, up 2. So S is your point. And the last one, a bakery supplier receives an order of 2 tons of flour from a bakery chain. The flour is shipped in crates. Each crate holds 8 10-pound bags. How many crates does the supplier need to fulfill the order? So first off, I'm going to make that 2 tons is how many pounds? Well, I always do that for pounds, excuse me. It's LB. I know there's 2,000 pounds in a ton, so 2 times 2,000 times 2,000 would be 4,000. So that's 4,000 pounds. Each crate holds 8 10-pound bags. So each crate holds 80 pounds. So 4,000 divided by 80. You can get rid of a 0, get rid of a 0. How many times can 8 go into 400? 8 can't go into 4, but it can go into 40. 5 times, 8 times 5 is 40. Bring down, which gives me 0. Bring down the 0. 8 cannot go into that, so it's 50. So your answer is 50 crates. Okay, and we're done for today. I hope you enjoyed learning about millimeters. I meant to say the metric system. Hope you enjoyed learning about the metric system and realize it's actually really, really easy, because all you need to do is remember kilo, deca, the unit, deci, centi, milli, and this is going to work for meters, liters, and grams. So I don't have to teach you a day for distance. I don't have to teach you a day for capacity. I don't have to teach you a day for weight. It's all the same. And if you remember, King Henry died unexpectedly or by drinking chocolate milk. That will be an easy way to remember it. Same thing. You're getting bigger. You're going to multiply. Sorry. If you're going bigger from smaller, so fly to horse, divide. I said that wrong. If you're going to get bigger, you're actually dividing. And if you're going to get smaller, you're actually multiplying. Same thing we've been doing. Just how you're moving your powers of 10. 1 jump is 10, 2 jumps is 100, 3 jumps is 1,000. So those are the basic things you need to remember. And I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye.